There. All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Megan Rogers, and I am joined by my colleague Rebecca Huben. We are account managers with Stitchcraft Marketing, and we do office hours every month where we share some tips and information that hopefully will help you feel a little more confident in your marketing. We have a 10-15 minute slide presentation lined up, and then I will open up the floor for questions. So feel free to ask questions about the presentation. And then once we get that out of the way, we can address any other questions that you might have while you've got the ears of a couple digital marketing account managers on hand. So today's presentation is built upon a blog post that came out last week called How to Write an SEO Blog Post. And that is on our blog, the stitchcraftmarketing.com/blog, with the title, How to Write an SEO Blog Post. And there are dashes between those words. So if you would like to get more detail on what I cover today, you can find that additional information there. So quick refresher on the role of blogs in SEO. And for this presentation, I'm assuming that you're familiar with SEO and the role of keywords for SEO. Those terms I'm not going to talk a lot about today. However, we do have blog posts and past office hours that touch on those, and I have some links to those later in the presentation. So the role of blogs in SEO is to help increase the organic traffic that search engines send your way. When you write a blog post, you're demonstrating knowledge and authority on your topic, and you are making it easy to digest for search engine indexers if you apply the basic SEO practices that we're going to talk about today. So I am assuming that you are a business owner who understands your customers' pain points. You understand what questions customers ask when they're trying to resolve those pain points. And you are at the point where you've written a blog post that you're ready to publish. It will address questions that often come up. Hopefully, searchers will search for those questions. And now you want to make sure that this is going to do the most work possible for you in terms of search engine traffic. So the first, what we're going to do is, talk about a handful of changes to make sure that you're doing. And I want to emphasize that the key to great SEO that will work for you over the long term is that when you base it in actual customer questions and needs. That is the first priority. Then secondly, you look for the keywords and you make the changes that always maintain the integrity of the information that you're sharing. So first up, you want to make sure your title is SEO'd. And H1 is the code, the HTML code indicator for the title, the biggest heading number 1. You want to include your keywords there. One suggestion that almost always works, and what I used when I was putting together this blog post, was reword one of your customers' hypothetical questions into a statement. So if I was imagining I wanted to provide information for someone who was asking, how do I write an SEO blog post? Well, I just reworded that. How to write an SEO blog post. It's clear, it's simple. It's got the keywords of SEO, blog, right in there. Those are the keywords that I'm looking to amplify with this post. So pretty straightforward. Second, you want to make sure that your slug is optimized. And the slug is the portion of the URL that comes after your domain name. So the top example where the yellow arrow is pointing, it is the web URL for the blog post related to this topic. So you see stitchcraftmarketing.com and then the slash, and then you see the slug, how to write an SEO blog post. So it's probably the case that your blog platform populates this for you. But every platform and blog editor has its own customizations and its own setup. So you'll want to check to make sure that this is happening. If it is not happening, you'll want to go in manually. What I'm showing you here in the two boxes that have the black arrow connected is a sample blog post that I drafted within Shopify. So this is within Shopify's blog platform. And the title is How to Use a Cricut to Cut Fabric for Quilt Applique. And I have drafted the post with the title and the text, and it has automatically generated the search engine listing preview. That includes the slug, How to Use a Cricut to Cut Fabric for Quilt Applique. So different blog platforms and blog editors might use different terminology to refer to this. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Make sure that the slug has the URL. The slug URL has your keywords in it. Next, you want to make sure that the text of your post is optimized for search engines. In the opening, you want to include your keywords in the first 2 lines of the text. That shows the search engine indexers that these keywords are important. You'll want to use subheadings. Those are referred to as H2. That helps your reader digest the post. They can scan the post, see what your topics are. It also helps the search engines understand the structure of your post. And as you are progressing through your blog post, you'll want to inject the keywords that are relevant to that section. So you're not just jamming in all of your keywords all of the time, but make sure that you're using the keywords in the subheadings. And in your closing, you'll want to add a couple of sentences that reinforce your point and mention your keywords. It's also a great place to include links. First, I want to talk about internal links. So those are links to other blog posts that you've done in the past and perhaps relevant products or maybe classes that you offer that help people understand the problem that your blog post addresses. This is obviously helpful to users who want to read a little more. And it also, again, helps the search engine indexers understand the structure of your site. Then external links. If you have other posts that you refer to that you really like that are high quality websites, they're written well, they're clear, they're somewhat related to your industry or authoritative information, then that also is helpful and shows search engine indexers how your site relates to another website. Next, you want to make sure you're adding alt text to your images. So for each post, you should have at least one image created. This is a visual cue of the post topic, and you'll reuse this image just to get the most mileage out of your effort in your social media posts, adjusting size and so forth, depending on whether you're putting something on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest. And you will also add a keyword-rich image description. So your first priority is to remember that the alt text is there to enable visually impaired web users to hear their reader software read out that description. Now, the second second reason to update the alt text is because we can also make sure we've got our keywords in here as another place that demonstrates what this post is about. In terms of how to add the alt text and where to add the alt text, this is, again, probably should be something that your blog platform offers. It might not use the term alt text. It might refer to it as image description. You might have to go looking for it. Often the opportunity to add the alt text comes when at the point where you upload the image into your platform, not necessarily when you're inserting the image into your post. So you will have to poke around a little bit to find it. But I put a sample here of what alt text could be. What we're looking at here is the photo of a rotary cutter being used to trim quilt fabric. So I've highlighted in yellow what I'm thinking are my main keywords. If I've written a post about how to use a rotary cutter to trim fabric without, for precise precision and without cutting your fingers. So maybe those three are my primary keywords. And in blue, I think of those more as secondary keywords because they elaborate or they are further related to the main keywords just to show that you have a lot that you are saying about the topic. So scissors, thread, and sewing accessories are in the background. You don't need to worry about describing every square inch of the image, but just think about how you would describe this image to someone who can't see it clearly. And how do you do that in a way that includes your most important keywords? The next thing you want to make sure to do is add meta text. And of course, so often, if you spend much time thinking about social media, then Meta means Facebook and Instagram as the company that owns those. Here, we're actually, the term Meta has nothing to do with those platforms. What it has to do with is the post description that shows up on a search engine result page. Your blog platform may suggest an optional post excerpt or post summary. Those might be some of the terms it uses instead of meta text. We would say treat that as a requirement. It's another opportunity for you to provide a quick summary of your post and add in your keywords. So typically you'll be good to just cut and paste the first 1 or 2 sentences from your post and put them in the description box. Glance at it and make sure that it stands alone on, if someone were to come across that and read it, that it makes sense, and then you'll be good to go. So again, this is user-friendly, and the search engine indexers will see this again. So I promised this would be a quick overview, and that is what I have aimed to do. So I have your checklist. So to review, we include keywords in the title. Your URL slug is also going to have those keywords. You're going to integrate those keywords into the opening lines. You'll use subheadings to show the structure of the post. You will add closing lines to include helpful, high-quality links to internal and external sources whenever possible. If it doesn't make sense to do so, then don't. But really think, do you have an opportunity to make a connection here? And do so if you do. Add keyword-rich alt text for screen readers, and add keyword-rich meta text for SERPs, for search engine results pages. So I promised earlier that if you were looking for more information on SEO, on keywords, we have a number of posts that we have done in the past, as well as a podcast here. So we have 3 links here that are available. These are linked in the blog post, the related blog post as well. So I encourage you to take a look at those. There's a lot of good information that can help you feel better about what this world is. Make sure you're doing your best. So hopefully this information has given you enough of an overview that you can take using going forward. So now that you know, oh, I should make sure to put keywords in my blog post, keywords in my opening lines, etc. Just do that going forward. It's not a heavy lift. You can also revise and update existing blog posts for SEO, following many of the same principles. There are some adjustments you have to change. But if you would like any help with blogging, with SEO, or with retrofitting your existing blog posts for SEO, we are definitely equipped to help with that. You've got a couple of options. You can schedule a free 30-minute call with our CEO, Leanne Presley, anytime. Her link is on there. You can also email me. I am the main SEO person on our team, so you can feel free to reach out to me as well. So I appreciate your time, and what I'm going to go ahead and do now is open it up for questions. Is there any questions that have come up as I've been talking related to what we brought up in the presentation?
Megan, we did have a question in the chat about how descriptive should the alt text be?
It should be clear about what is shown in the image and indicate the intent of what is being shown. So let me scroll back to our image here. I like to talk about examples. So if this image is the main image I'm using on a blog post I have written about how to use cutting rulers and a rotary cutter to get precise pieces every time. That's the blog post. Then the description of this image should say, this is a photograph of a rotary cutter being used to trim quilt fabric. So I've got my keywords. That's the main thing that's happening in this image. And then I give an indication of what's in the background. You do not need to get all into the weeds with everything that is being shown and every color that is rendered. 1 or 2 lines, because just, I guess, if you're posed with that question, think about, okay, what are my keywords? What is the main thing that I want this post to convey? And if I am a visually impaired person who is depending on a screen reader, how much information would I want to know? So you'll get the gist from the couple of lines. So
There's a follow-up question. Do you usually start with saying it's a photo?
I typically do, because sometimes an image that is inserted is actually a graphic image that has been created in Canva that has a title and maybe a cartoon image of a frustrated person with a rotary cutter, say, for instance. So if instead of a photograph, we had the image file was actually just text-based and maybe had a cartoon image, I would say, image of our image of the post title, and include whatever that text is, and a humorous illustration of a frustrated person using a rotary cutter. So I do, because I believe that's informative for the person reading. Reading or hearing. There is not any single rule that says you must or must not. But I would suggest you do it. It's just a couple more words to tag in there. Any other questions? All right. So I think what we can do is go ahead and stop recording.